Mom.
Lucy, unusually hustling, entered the room with a beautifully decorated card in her left hand.
There was an invitation to their wedding in the mailbox.
What?
Ryan quickly checked the card in Lucy's hand, reading it over and over. The normally mild-mannered twins were biting their lips tightly and frowning deeply.
This is just harassment.
My head started to throb, and I ended up snapping coldly, "Just tear it up and throw it away."
Sure, of course.
The moment Ryan was about to tear the card lengthwise, Lucy grabbed his hand.
Wait a minute.
What? You're stopping me.
Lucy, trying to control the explosive anger of Ryan, grabbed his wrist in panic and rushed out of the room. Left alone in the living room of our family home, I stood bewildered.
We'll go to the wedding instead of you, Mom.
Returning after a while with beaming smiles, the twins declared something unexpected. A few weeks later, having actually attended the wedding, the twins began to share what was happened, their eyes gleaming with excitement.
We really showed them.
Each morning, my routine is the same. I face the mirror, craft a smile, and greet myself. Good morning. I force a smile again today. Uttering only formal greetings, I am Abigail, 43 years old. At the beginning of our marriage, my husband Jack insisted that being always smiling was the most important thing, enforcing it like a ritualistic greeting. At first, I was pleased by Jack's praise. Abigail's smile is the best in the world, and continued to smile awkwardly. It felt good to smile, somehow lifting my spirits. But now,
You've got more age spots again.
Now, as soon as he sees my face, he points it out with a sharp tone. I take care of my skin diligently, but I'm always belittled by Jack.
Really, you can't even serve as a proper supporting act for me.
When I recently celebrated my birthday, instead of offering congratulations, Jack spat out that line. With an exaggerated sigh and a cold gaze colder than ice, he looked at me. There were no presents, and I was deeply shocked, wondering if my longtime husband had forgotten my birthday. As for Jack, now 57, and still appearing youthful with radiant skin, he owns a clinic specializing in cosmetic dentistry, clearly taking extra care of his looks. Today, as usual, Jack hurled insults about my appearance, not even giving me a chance to object, before he hurried off to the clinic. There's a reason for his buoyant steps. The clinic is filled with beauties. According to Jack, it's natural to hire attractive women in the beauty industry. Not even trying to hide his smitten expression, Jack seems happy every day. Popular among the beautiful dental hygienists, the clinic has a predominantly female clientele. Reflecting on Jack's daily attitude, I sigh and quickly move away from the mirror. How long do I have to keep up this charade? While preparing breakfast, I mutter to myself, feeling the futility of aging alone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Entering the living room were our twin children, a brother and sister. Lucy, Ryan, good morning. Lucy, still rubbing her sleepy eyes, came over to help me prepare breakfast. Ryan, as usual, started collecting the trash around the house with practiced ease. Thanks, both of you, as always. At 17 years old, our children have grown up considerate and are always ready to help out with the chores. I've always been impressed by their initiative and efficiency in handling household tasks. Being twins, there were certainly challenges in raising them. However, Jack never involved himself in childcare, always using his busy work schedule as an excuse.
I'm providing the money, aren't I?
Every time I tried to ask for help, that was his excuse to avoid it. So I stopped expecting anything from him at some point. I had my thoughts about his attitude. Nevertheless, thanks to my kind children, I managed to have a busy yet fulfilling daily life. That routine was disrupted by a single statement from Jack.
By the way, I hired Lily as my secretary.
He seemed unusually cheerful when he told me this out of the blue. Lily is my sister's daughter, my niece.
She came crying to me because she failed to land a job after graduating from college. I felt sorry for her. It's a family favor.
A favor, but appointing a woman in her 20s as a secretary all of a sudden. Jack excitedly explained how promising Lily was for the future.
With her degree and such beauty, she'll definitely boost the morale of the company.
Hearing him praise Lily so much made me honestly quite uncomfortable. Indeed, Lily is beautiful and has been adored since she was young. Perhaps because of that, she seems to think she's better than everyone else. When they were kids, my twins, Lucy and Ryan, were often bullied by Lily, treated almost like her servants. Every time they met, Lily would pick on them, often making them cry.
She never returned my favorite pencil she borrowed.
While I was drawing, she suddenly grabbed a paper and tore it up, saying it wasn't manly.
Lucy and Ryan both believe that if others are happy, we are happy too. With their gentle natures, I've never seen them strongly oppose Lily. Moreover, Lily seemed to have used her looks to charm several boys. I've heard that my kids have been talked behind their backs by a group of guys who've become her entourage. I can't believe Jack hired her at his clinic. I was worried that the twins and Lily would have to interact more often now. But Lily has grown up, surely it will be fine. I tried to reassure myself with these thoughts, though I felt somewhat heavy-hearted. Contrary to my worries, the twins seemed unfazed by Lily's presence.
Actually, I saw Lily earlier. She's still as cute as ever.
Lucy mentioned this casually after returning from school. She saw Lily chatting with a patient in front of the clinic next to our house. Despite the past bullying, her first impression after such a long time was that Lily was cute, typical of Lucy.
Maybe we can get along this time.
Ryan had also been made to cry countless times by Lily, but seemed to want to befriend her. It's embarrassing to feel so anxious. I muttered to myself, with no one in particular. From what Jack has told me, Lily seems to be a hard worker, and she was probably just going through a rebellious phase back then. I used to think she was still a child until very recently, but time sure flies. Relieved that my worries were unfounded, I quietly smiled. However, I was quickly reminded that reality isn't always sweet. I think it was about 3 months after Lily started working at the clinic. On that chilly day when Jack finished work, he inexplicably brought Lily home with him. They walked in without a care for my presence, arm in arm, looking very much like a couple. Was this scene in front of me even real? I found myself denying it in my mind. But such escape from reality was abruptly shattered by Jack's announcement.
I'm going to make Lily my new wife.
What? His words were so unexpected that I dropped the glass I was holding. The sound of the glass shattering echoed loudly.
What? Have you gone so old that you're going deaf?
Jack, unbothered by the broken glass, looked stern.
Essentially, you're useless now.
Useless.
Who could refuse such a cute girl like Lily when she begs to be married? I'd like to see such a man.
He boasted as if he had done something great.
I've truly felt love for the first time with Jack. So sorry, Aunt Abigail.
Lily, emphasizing Aunt deliberately, balled her hands into fists, brought them to her mouth, and looked up coyly. I was too shocked to say a word.
Hug, you've become unable to speak now. Well, that's just as well.
Jack sneered and slammed the divorce papers and some money on the table.
Take this and get out of my sight.
He shouted loud enough to burst eardrums. Even I wanted to cover my ears because of the volume, yet Lily, clinging to Jack, looked at him adoringly.
Dad, what's going on?
It seemed our kids, Lucy and Ryan, heard Jack's loud voice and rushed into the room.
Dad, why with Lily?
Jack and Lily stood close together. In front of them, I stood dazed, with the divorce papers and scattered money on the floor. Seeing this, the children seemed to grasp the situation.
Mom, are you okay?
Lucy came over to me, noticed the broken glass, and quickly started cleaning it up.
I can't believe you would make a move on Lily.
Tears began streaming down Lucy's eyes.
Lily, this has to be some mistake, right?
Ryan, who had hoped to get along with Lily, asked pleadingly. However, Jack and Lily did not respond to the twins, but just stared at me as if I were trash.
Was that a bit too hard for you to understand, old lady? It's not complicated. Just pack your bags and leave the house.
Lily was overly affectionate and clingy, while Jack wore a smug expression. Watching them, I began to feel a numbing sensation spreading through my limbs. Had the shock numbed my heart, too, I felt an overwhelming sense of resignation towards the two in front of me. It's enough, let's go. I felt my own voice as if it were coming from far away, and I moved slowly, robotically, one step, then another.
Mom.
We're coming with you.
With the help of my children, I gathered the few belongings we needed and left the house. I had nowhere else to go but back to my parents' house. As I headed there, the 2-hour journey felt endlessly long. Outside, a cold wind was blowing, making my frozen heart feel even more encased in thick ice. The kids, concerned for me, called a taxi, but within minutes I felt nauseous and had to get out.
Let's take it slow, at your pace, Mom.
Don't push yourself too hard.
Supported by the gentle words of Might Winds, I managed to barely keep my spirits up. To me, at worst, it doesn't matter. I didn't want the twins to suffer. Somehow, I made it to my parents' home and began to reflect on my life so far and what lay ahead. The stress was worse than I had anticipated, and I continued to have nightmares, whether asleep or awake. Time just passed by, and I had no energy to do anything, not even eat. I was just a source of worry for both the twins and my parents, and I felt utterly pathetic. A phone call that seemed to push me even deeper into despair came about a week after I arrived at my parents' house. It was from Jack's parents. They claimed I was a barrier to the pure love that had blossomed between Lily and Jack. Lily had been the support for Jack's heart, enduring the treatment from a demon wife. They say the significant age difference between them doesn't matter because they are deeply in love, and that's why they are getting married. My relationship with him had been broken for a long time. That's what Jack is reportedly saying. He complained that I was a cold woman who never did any housework, never showed any appreciation, and was always nagging for money. As soon as I answered the phone, I was greeted with a shriek, "What the hell is this about?" and accused of absurd things. They didn't listen to a word I said, and took turns hurling accusations at me. Overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information and the sharpness of their words, I could feel my consciousness fading. Their voices gradually became distant. Unconsciously, I hung up the phone, and then, as if my vision blurred, I collapsed to the floor.
Mom.
Ryan rushed over, nearly catching me before my head hit the floor.
Are you okay?
Slowly steadying myself, Ryan soothed my back. Thanks to Ryan's care, I didn't lose consciousness, and sat down on the floor. "Thank you, I'm okay." Despite my words, I sighed deeply. Ryan, sensing my mood, looked like he was about to cry.
Mom.
Lucy burst into the room unusually loudly, holding a beautifully decorated card in her left hand. "Lucy, why are you yelling like that?" In my dazed state, surprised by her unusual behavior, I asked.
There was a wedding invitation for those two in the mailbox.
What?
Ryan quickly took the card from Lucy's hand and read it over and over again. The normally mild-mannered twins were biting their lips tightly, frowning deeply.
This is nothing but harassment.
As my head started to throb, I coldly said, "Just tear it up and throw it away."
Yeah, of course.
The moment Ryan was about to tear the card lengthwise, Lucy grabbed his hand.
Wait a minute.
What's the matter? Are you stopping this?
Lucy managed to calm Ryan down, who looked ready to explode with anger, and hurriedly grabbed his wrist before leaving the room. I was left alone in the living room of my parents' house, stunned. After a while, the two returned with beaming smiles and said something completely unexpected.
We're going to attend the wedding on your behalf, Mom.
What?
Just wait here comfortably, Mom.
After they had been sad and angry with me, this turn of events was unexpected. What could have possibly changed their minds? All I could do was look them in the eyes and trust them when they asked me to believe. Then, silently, I nodded. They left the room with an energy unlike their usual selves, and I watched their backs with mixed feelings. For the next few weeks, they seemed busier than when they were studying for their exams. However, whenever I asked what they were up to, they evaded the question. What's gotten into them? It was unusual for them to go out without giving a reason, which truly worried me. I just hope they haven't gotten into or involved in something dangerous. Not being informed about anything, all I could do was wait and trust. The following week, my resolve paid off as things began to move.
Well, we're off then.
Lucy declared meaningfully and loudly. She was dressed more sharply than usual, her makeup perfect, wearing a suit like a strategist ready for battle. Going, you mean to the actual wedding?
Yeah, just relax at home, Mom.
In the end, I never understood what the twins had planned or prepared for the wedding. These kids have never gone through a rebellious phase before, so maybe this is it now. Such thoughts flickered through my mind. But it's not like people change overnight. Maybe I've been unknowingly stressing them out. Feeling betrayed by my husband and attacked by his parents, my suspicions deepened, and I couldn't help but imagine the worst scenarios regarding my children's actions. I'm such a failure as a mother. I can only wait in agitation as time simply passes by. And then, in the evening,
We're back.
the kids returned home energetically. Welcome back. What have you been planning?
Well,
Their eyes sparkling, the twins began to recount what had happened over the past few weeks.
We really showed him.
As they started, they launched into a story that far exceeded my imagination. At that time, the twins had come up with a plan. After stopping Ryan from tearing up the card and leaving the room, Lucy reportedly shared the plan with him.
What's going on? Grabbing my wrist all of a sudden. Are you on his side or something?
no, that's not it. I have a good idea.
Lucy caught Ryan's eye and seemed to have a mischievous smile.
We have to make sure it's a lovely wedding.
Lacey, that's what you mean.
The twins understood each other perfectly without needing words. Then, they secretly visited various places without telling me. For several weeks this went on, and finally, the day of Jack and Lily's wedding arrived, which was the twins' moment of truth. Dressed in suits, the twins carefully watched Jack and Lily's interactions. Jack and Lily seemed to be blessed by their friends, and the venue was filled with smiles.
The first joint task as a couple will be submitting the marriage registration.
After the ceremony, Jack declared they would submit their marriage registration, showing it off. While everyone was giving Jack and Lily warm applause, the twins gave the signal for their final move.
Well, it might be the right time now.
The constant flow of guests coming to congratulate Jack and Lily was actually convenient for their plan.
Yo, let's go.
The twins clenched their fists with determination, touched them together, and then confidently moved forward. At this moment, the tension was said to be at its peak.
Here, we have an indispensable surprise for the wedding.
Ryan and Lucy, smiling, led a group of men onto the stage. As the twins and the men advanced, Lily's face, shocked, began to contort visibly.
Since it's such a special occasion, we've invited some special guests.
Lucy spread her arms wide to present the men. At that moment, Lily couldn't hold back and seemed to scream in an ugly way. Jack, eyes wide, looked at Lily, but undisturbed. Lucy cheerfully announced,
Here we have individuals who have been closely related to the bride-to-be, Lily.
as the guests murmured in confusion. The twins began to politely introduce the men.
First, this gentleman, who has been in a relationship with Lily since her college days. They just celebrated an anniversary recently.
Ryan turned the microphone to the man, speaking in an intentionally theatrical tone to ease the atmosphere for the men to speak. The man shared that he gifted Lily a designer wallet for their anniversary.
Lily, you are so loved, aren't you?
However, the man was indignant as he had not seen Lily since the anniversary, and she had ignored his messages.
It's a terrible story, but Lily has only exploited this man's feelings.
These men were among those who harbored resentment towards Lily. During their investigation, the twins had discovered several of Lily's social media accounts.
Just after you two celebrated your anniversary, Lily posted that she sold the designer wallet for a good price.
The man, having seen Lily's post, was furious, certain it was the wallet he had gifted.
Oh, a girlfriend who sells gifts from her boyfriend. Clearly, there is no love there.
Lily trembled, but the crowd of guests in front of her prevented her from moving.
And next, this gentleman.
Taking advantage of the situation, the twins continued their narrative.
This man is the heir to a major corporate company.
All the men associated with Lily had one thing in common. It's they were all wealthy. In addition to middle-aged entrepreneurs and fiancés who were office workers, the twins took turns interviewing and meticulously introducing each man. The men shared that no matter how much they proposed to Lily, she always evaded the question, and sometimes she even called them by the wrong name, which made them feel uneasy. From the initially celebratory atmosphere, the mood among the guests shifted to suspicion and curiosity. It seems that, observing all this, Ryan whispered surreptitiously to Lucy.
It turned out just as Lucy said, didn't it?
Right? She's always had trouble with men.
From this exchange, I realized the kind of feelings Lucy harbored towards Lily. It wasn't just that Lucy had seen Lily steal her first boyfriend or flirt with other men. Every time they met, she would be harshly criticized, and they'd go around saying things like such a gloomy person never gets liked or that she was nothing but Lily's lackey. Lily also continually bothered Ryan, making him carry her bags, run errands, and treating him like a servant. I had no idea they had been treated so poorly. I regret not being able to speak up more because they were my sister's children. Yet, without blaming me, the twins said,
I couldn't stand how she used Ryan. But what I couldn't forgive even more was that I couldn't say anything to Lily.
Lucy, with a strong sense of justice, must have felt it was her mission to protect Ryan.
I have to protect Ryan.
Then I'll protect Lucy, and together, we'll protect Mom.
The twins had been conducting their own investigation into Lily's affairs without wanting to trouble me. He was already exhausted. The men they met this time, upon learning of Lily's impending marriage, were happy to cooperate when the twins asked for their help. Staring straight at the stunned Jack and Lily, Lucy boldly said,
Ladies and gentlemen, it's too early to be shocked. This groom here is a big liar.
With a quick change of the slide, they projected photos of their childhood.
There are no photos of us playing with our father when we were kids.
And that's because our father pushed all child care and housework onto our mother and was hardly ever at home.
I never spoke ill of Jack. However, memories of my very tired face from time to time remained with the twins. Furthermore, even as they grew up, their relationship with Jack was minimal, feeling more like roommates who shared meals rather than a father.
As children, we thought the idea of a father was fictional.
Ryan began talking about how painful it was to write essays in elementary school.
Write about your father.
While other kids effortlessly progressed with their pencils, the twins could write nothing.
What's a father?
Even when they asked, the teacher would scold them, not understanding how they could not know, and even increased the amount of writing they had to do. If they had told me about this at home, I would have been very sad. That's why they had kept it hidden all this time.
Recently, my father has been even spreading rumors about my mother. She's always been good with the neighbors, and both Ryan and I have been well liked by neighbors, who told us that my father had been spreading rumors about our mother ever since he announced he was marrying Lily.
Feeling the impact of the guests' reactions, they delivered the final blow to Jack and Lily. They said this is the clincher, and dramatically unfolded the divorce papers.
Believe it or not, I have the divorce papers for my parents right here with me now.
As the guests turned their eyes to Jack and Lily, they started throwing shade to the two.
You all, who do you think raised you without any hardships?
Jack shouted back, raising his voice even louder against the storm of reproach.
It was Mom who raised us.
Ryan's voice rang out clearly, even though he was neither yelling nor raising his voice.
I provided for your education and even paid for your lessons. It was all thanks to me.
Thinking that just providing money was enough, you're sorely mistaken. We never once thought of you as a father.
Lucy retorted sharply, and the two watched as Jack and Lily, their mouths quivering, were swallowed up by the crowd of guests. They then left the venue. After finishing their story, the twins smiled softly and looked at me. Both of you. Overwhelmed by the emotions welling up from deep within, I couldn't hold back any more and burst into tears, embracing them both.
That man, his handsome face was completely ruined by shock.
Ryan said proudly.
All that's left is to submit this divorce application, and it's all over.
Ryan, Lucy. My tears wouldn't stop, but they were warm tears now. The developments that followed were swift. I went to submit the divorce papers, and the divorce was successfully finalized. If I had been fretting over the future, I should have just filed them sooner. As for Lily, she ended up being arrested on suspicion of marriage fraud after one of the men filed a complaint with the police. It was a success thanks to the cooperation of those men. Not only that, but due to the scandal at the wedding, Jack's reputation plummeted. Understandably, his colleagues and the beautiful dental hygienists at the clinic harbored resentment towards him. All of them resigned, the clinic went under, and no patients would visit anymore. Furthermore, Jack and Lily were ordered to pay damages for defamation for slandering me.
Apparently, Lily really caused a scene when that man told her he wanted a divorce.
Ryan shared, having learned a bit about their aftermath from a man he met during their investigation, who worked in legal services.
It was a painfully ugly fight to witness.
The fight between the selfish and self-absorbed Jack and Lily, who lost everyone due to her own actions, seemed to be an ugly clash of dark human emotions.
That man, he aged significantly from the stress.
Is that so? Reflecting on how Jack, who had always disparaged my appearance, must find his own declining looks unbearable. Maybe it's poetic justice, I thought, as I looked down. After years of suffering under Jack's cruel words, it felt like a cloud had been lifted from my heart. It wasn't long before Jack's parents came to apologize to us.
We can only compensate with money,
They said repeatedly, apologizing and promising to support that Wynn's future. They made Jack sell all his possessions and work day and night to earn tuition money for them. Thanks to that, neither Lucine or Ryan had to worry about college expenses anymore. Although my heart was torn to pieces when I was pursued for the truth during the upheaval, I understand now that it was out of a parent's desire to believe in their son. Now, the cold air that had been blowing through my heart is gone, and the frozen feelings are beginning to thaw.
Mom, I'm heading out.
Time flies, and the twins were now attending their high school graduation ceremony. I always thought of them as children, but looking at them again, they had somehow grown into adult-like faces.
I'm going too.
Ryan, following Lucy, opened the house door. A pleasant, warm breeze flowed in, enveloping me. I guess it's time for me to take a new step forward too. As I watched the twins' backs disappear, I prayed that the future holds nothing but hope for them.